Hey, hello everyone. So today we're doing a beautiful books tag. This is actually quite hard for me because most of the books I own, I find them pretty beautiful. I don't actually buy books that I don't like the edition, but I'm trying now to show you a couple of books that I haven't showed you before. I'll put links for a few videos that I show a lot of my books. So today I'm trying for books you haven't seen yet, so they may not necessarily be the most beautiful covers I own. They're just beautiful to me and new to you. So let's do it. The first question actually is quite simple. I just have to pick 5 of my favorite book covers, so here it is. First off, we have Stitches by Dave Small. I really like this cover because it truly represents the book and it is quite simple. I like the colors. I also like the size of the edition. Of course, graphic novels tend to come in different sizes than other books, and I really appreciate that. Also, the back part of the cover is really nice also. So yeah. Another one is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I actually already showed you this edition, but it's worth to show you again. It's such a beautiful one. This is paperback and it is a very small version of it, but I just love it unconditionally. I think it's actually an anniversary edition, I'm not sure. But I love covers that are all the way through. So yeah. Another one, it's a book that I actually showed you recently on my Wanderlust video. So if you want to check that out, go to my channel. But it's this edition in Portuguese by Alfaguara of Ulysses by James Joyce. I really like that it's a map of the city and it absolutely represents the book. And I don't know, I actually adore this edition. This is a fairly recent book that I just bought like a week ago. It is 100 Years of Solitude by Garcia Marquez. Of course, this is a book written by a Latin American in Spanish, and I should actually read it in Spanish if I can, or at least in Portuguese, but I bought this edition in English because look at how beautiful it is. Let me just adjust right here. Woo! And then last but not least, it's quite a simple book by, I believe, Cosaque Naif and São Paulo's International Film Festival. It is a collection of Tarkovsky's Polaroids. Let me show you. Here, here. A few years ago, our International Film Festival held homage, so to say, for Tarkovsky, and we had an exhibition of most of these Polaroids, and this is the catalog of that exhibition. I love the soft palette of this like aqua green and the light gray. I think it's very careful, very beautiful. Cosaque Naif does tend to do some beautiful books, and I think for a catalog this is just amazing. The second question is, show us a book on your favorite color. I don't really know what my favorite color is. I quite like blue, I like yellow, and I like green, so it's hard to say, but I just end up choosing a book that was within that spectrum, so I chose this one. It's actually blue. It's not my favorite type of blue, but it is blue, and I quite like this color as well. And I already showed you this book before, but not to a great extent. This is Sylvia Plath's drawing, and this is the Brazilian edition by Globo, and it's quite beautiful. Then we have a book in my least favorite color. I don't know what my least favorite color is. Probably pink. That being said, I only own one pink cover, and thank God it is a good looking one. It's Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. But I had to choose 2 books for this one because I also quite dislike brown. I like brown in objects because I like wood, but in general brown is not really my color. So here we have The Bottomless Belly Button by Dave Shaw. It is in a very craft paper. I don't know if it's called like that in English, but it is in Portuguese, papel craft color, and it's not a color that I particularly enjoy, but I do think it fits really well with the book, and it is a beautiful cover, really well thought. Really like the spine as well. There's some things written here, and yeah, as a whole, this is not my piece of cake when it comes to color, but it is a beautiful book. Next we have a favorite cover of a classic. My favorite covers of classics are from my Jane Austen collection. My favorite one being the Threads edition of Emma, but I showed you that quite a lot of times. I also own Northanger Abbey and Pride and Prejudice on the Penguin hardcover classic edition. So yeah, all of my Jane Austen editions are wonderful, but I just recently got as a present from my brother 2 new editions of Persuasion and Sense and Sensibility. Here they are. They are made by Vintage Classics. The entire collection is beautiful. I like to show the inside. They have different patterns on the inside that represents a different book on the entire collection. For instance, this pattern right here, if I'm not mistaken, is for Pride and Prejudice, and this is the Sense and Sensibility book. I quite love these editions. I think they're beautiful. They're a little bit smaller than usual, but just amazing. And I love that a paperback has French flaps because I just love them. And yeah, Vintage Classics, the entire collection. If you're looking for finishing your Jane Austen collection, I'll suggest the Vintage Classics or the Penguin Classics hardcovers. They are beautiful editions, and it's nice to have the entire collection on that one. So yeah. Your favorite children's book cover? I actually don't look a lot at my favorite children's book. They are like really far away up on my shelves, so it's quite hard to actually look at them and remember. I gave it a quick look and selected the first one I got hooked on, but yeah, it is The Cat O Gatto by Norma Freire with illustrations of Claudio Zirotti. And isn't this a pretty nice cover? Again, all the way through. This is the cat, and I really love it. The illustrations inside are also great. It's a quite thin book as it is for really young children, but I really like this illustration. It's quite unique, and this cover is awesome. And then for the final question involving books themselves, we have a question about what books I think represent the idea of a beautiful cover. And to me, beautiful covers are quite simple. I like the simpler the better, but yeah, sometimes a really lot going on can be good too, but it is a little bit difficult to get it right. For me, the simpler the better, and you can go wrong with that. Also choosing the colors right, the patterns right, and the lettering. I also like pretty spines because spines are what you usually see of books when they are on your shelves. I don't actually put books up front so you can see their cover, so you only see the spine. So I like well thought spines. I also like books that introduce me to new artists and designers, and this was the case with Milan Kundera's latest book, La Fête de l'Insignificance. This is the Brazilian edition made by Companhia das Letras, and it introduced me to a brilliant and genius artist, Dominique Corbasson. I'll put links to her in the description. So yeah, I love this cover, and it actually introduced a whole new series of edition for Milan Kundera's work by Companhia das Letras, and it's quite nice. And last but not least, we have a question asking me if I buy books solely because of their cover. Well, yes and no. I have bought books before because of their cover and what I read on their back pages and the blurbs and whatever, but without knowing anything ahead of time. As I told you before, this is how I got to know Jonathan Cole, who is now one of my favorite authors of all time. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I never bought a book solely because of its cover. I usually read the flaps and the back and try to understand what the book's about, and if the plot intrigues me, yeah, I'll definitely buy it without having had any other recommendations. And I also tend to buy books because they are beautiful. Even if it's a book that I really want to read and an author I enjoy, if I don't really like this cover or this edition or whatever, I usually get it on ebook and avoid buying the physical copy. I tend to buy physical copies of books that I like and I think they're beautiful. So yeah, yeah, I'm a beautiful covers fanatic, and this is a big part of the whole book experience for me. Of course, I'll never stop reading a book just because I don't like its cover, but to me this is what ebooks are for, you know, for being able to read something that you don't necessarily want to own and look at every day of your life. So yeah,